Hello, 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 my beautiful dancing unicorns. Welcome back to AG University Podcast. It is I, lead dancing unicorn, and your professor at ANNAGRACE Newell on all major platforms. I am a clairvoyant medium, Akashic Records practitioner, intuitive guide, and content creator, all of the things. And I'm so happy that you're here. If you're new here and you're new to this work, I always recommend starting at episode number 1. You can kind of jump around from there, but I feel like the first few episodes always really lay a nice foundation. So if a friend or a family member shared my podcast with you, always a good place for you to start. And also just a overarching thank you so much to all of you guys for sharing my podcasts with your friends and people who need to hear a message that I'm sharing. That's how this podcast has continued to grow and reach people in all new places, states, internationally, countries. It's been so fun to watch our charts grow in new areas and new listeners. And that is a huge thank you to you guys. So thank you so much for coming to class every week, for committing to your transformation, to committing to your spiritual journey, whatever journey that you're on. I really do believe if you are committed to showing up at AGU, you are one step closer to your higher self, to your soul's purpose, and becoming more in tune. Because even just tuning into my episodes every single week, I always say a prayer over the microphone that this may you receive this as an activation to awaken your intuition. I really feel like that's how my energy continues to reach everyone far and wide. Just even listening to the podcast is an activation in itself. So I'm so happy you're here. I love you guys. You're the best ever. And I kind of go in spurts where I will not do any readings or see any energy healers. And then all of a sudden, I'll have a couple of readings back to back. And so I have a friend that she does a lot of, basically I see her for like a spring cleaning. As much as I clear out y'all's auric fields, I love to call in some of my friends because there's strength in numbers to clear out, the energy around my social media or anything where there's like thousands and thousands and thousands of people. I always love to go see her, and she walks me through just clearing out literally everything, my digital home, my energetic home. And she's just so fun. And yeah, I try to see her at least once a year. Sometimes it's every other year. Like I said, I'm so well versed now in doing everything myself. But a good lesson for me as well is that it's nice to be held. It's nice to have someone else nurture you just as I nurture you guys. So I have a few people that I really trust in the space. And so I saw her for a reading / energy, kind of just clearing, upload or upgrade all the things. And then my dear friend Kim gifted me a session as a thank you for having her on the podcast. So she's been a friend and a mentor to me for many years. You guys may know Kim. She's come on the podcast twice now, and both of her episodes were like a smash hit banger. So you should check them out. One of them is called Are You Spiritual or Religious? Can You Be Both? And we talk about a lot of our clients who are coming from a religious background or religious lens, but they're spiritually curious, and essentially, kind of the languaging around that and giving people clarity and understanding that it's okay. You're allowed to be both. You're allowed to be all the things. You're allowed to be whatever makes you feel good and whatever makes you feel you. And then she had another one talking about quantum manifesting. So anyways, I'm fresh out of a reading with Kim. I literally had a reading with her about an hour and a half ago. And I got so excited all over again because she was really saying, I've been hinting to you guys about membership platform and a lot of things coming, but she is like, you have this huge wave of in-person events, and more so than just retreats. Like I want to do, day intensives or teaching people the Akashic Records in person and giving people a place to practice. And I just got so excited because I was like, oh my gosh, I really cannot wait to meet everybody that listens and tunes into the podcast on a regular basis, because I got a little taste at the Costa Rica retreat and I was obsessed. I mean, I've already planned 2 more retreats. I was like, this is the most fun thing ever. The dancing unicorns are my people. And yeah, it's always so magical to have a reading with a dear friend. And so just wanted to put that in your wheelhouse, that in-person hangs are much closer than I thought. I was thinking they were going to be a year out. Obviously, I have 2 more retreats that are planned a year out. It's not available for sign up yet, but if you are new here, I would love to have you in my newsletter. That's where everything goes out. If you ever want to do, you don't even have to want to do the Akashic Records training. I'm probably going to offer a few different tiers, maybe more beginner and more than some more advanced, just depending on where people are in their journey and their evolution. But definitely tap in to my newsletter. I will not spam you. I probably send maybe one, maybe two out a month. I try to just make them super action packed with information, but I won't spam you. So yeah, it's always linked in my bio, and I'll link in the show notes as well, because I really want you guys to be tuned in for whatever city I'm headed into in the next, I don't know. I'd say probably 5 to 6 months we'll have a full itinerary. So just want to go ahead. I love to just walk you guys through literally every single thing that's happening in my whole entire life. But I do feel like lately I've been manifesting things quicker. And okay, well, let's talk about my gut health. And I feel like this is important because if anyone has ever struggled with gut issues, you know how annoying it is. I would say for the last, like, I don't know, 3, 4-ish years, pretty much ever since I stopped taking Adderall, which is another thing. If you have ever had gut issues, you know how annoying they are because they're so vague and ambiguous, and you can take all these tests and all these things and they tell you to eliminate things. And at the end of the day, you're just like, my stomach is angry or something's going on. And when I just did the reading with Kim, she was talking a lot about anger. And anger is something that I'm really passionate about just as a topic for women, because I believe that women societally we have never really been given an outlet to express our anger in a way that feels safe for us without us feeling judged or bitchy or rude or some type of way. But we are allowed to be angry. We're allowed to express anger, because I really, since I've gone down this whole journey of autoimmune, I've learned so much about anger and how it really affects our liver, and the liver is so important for everybody. So anyways, I'm just really into anger, and I've talked about it a lot on this: feminine rage, holy rage. It's very, and the more that I've done readings, even though people will look at me like, oh my gosh, you look like a ball of sunshine. I'm like, absolutely, I am. I'm living my best life. But there's still anger inside of every single person. And it's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. We sometimes we really need that, from just a literal evolutionary standpoint, but it's knowing how to express and harness and channel and use it versus it getting stuck in our body and manifesting as illness. That's the difference. Oh, and another thing that came up around anger, because Kim was like, I feel like you just have some things that you need to work on. Because I pretty much was just talking to her about autoimmune stuff and business. And, is there anything that I'm not seeing from, because obviously I can read my own energy all day long, but it's also nice to be validated by a friend that knows me so well, and we worked together for so many years, like 5 years now. And I was like, is there anything I'm just not seeing? And so she touched on the anger piece. And it's interesting because in therapy the other day, I was talking to my therapist about all of the years, 10 plus years, that I was on Adderall. And Adderall for me, or any stimulant, any type of drug that's really altering your emotions, maybe, I don't know, for some people it could be an antidepressant, it could be anything, but emotionally, I felt so numb and disconnected from myself, but also really Adderall made me very agitated and irritable. It made me a very angry person because I just believe I was overly medicated and I was just out of alignment. There was a lot happening, and eating disorder on top of that. I've shared my story multiple places. You can find it all over this podcast, but I realized that over those 10 years, I had a lot of these really big feelings coming up, but I was so numb that I think there was just a lot of emotion repressed, which is really common if you're taking something that just makes you feel, I don't know how else to say it besides numb. I feel like if you've taken something and you get it where you're like, you just feel like indifferent, or you don't feel any type of way about anything. Like, I didn't feel like emotionally close to people at certain points when I was so heavily medicated, because I just like don't even know if I had access to those feelings. But then in turn, I would feel angry. And then those feelings were so repressed for so many years. So I'm like, I'm not surprised that now that I'm 30, even though, yes, I have all of the tools and, all the practices, I've only had this awareness though for 5 years, right? Since my near death experience. For 10 years of my life, I was, taking a medication and repressing, and you get it. It's an evolution. It's a journey. It's our whole life. Like, I feel like on a soul level, I have such understanding, but my physical body just needed me to tune in and do a little tending to as well. And it's a journey. It's not an overnight thing. You got to think, for all of the years that I did damage to my body, all of the years that, it's going to take a little bit of time to correct it. So I get back to my gut health journey. So I would say I probably, ever since I got off Adderall, it took me a long time to get my gut health back because my stomach acid was so low. I had eating disorder tendencies. Everything was just really wonky and out of whack. And this is when I was living in Nashville. So my Nashville era was like I was trying to figure things out, and I was constantly going through, like, first it was tracking macros and just getting off Adderall, trying to get normal, trying to have normal eating patterns. But also I had been really, dependent on Adderall for certain things. Like it really makes you go to the bathroom because it like shrinks your stomach. And so my and I'd been doing that every single day, taking it every single day, coffee, all the things. So I just struggled a lot in the gut issue. Like at night, I would always be like really bloated or really uncomfortable, or like would feel gaseous, or just like, oh, it was so annoying. And I'm not kidding. That went on for seriously years. And I would say, as I got more into the work that I'm doing now, I would go like stints, like 6 months where like my stomach was totally fine. But then I would just kind of have a flare up here and there. But still, I was like, this is so annoying. Like, I've never been more intuitive in my whole entire life. It's not the food. That's what I figured out. I was like, it's not anything that I'm really like eating. However, I did figure out I did take an allergy test. I do think that's helpful. Coffee and gluten were my triggers for me. But I also believe that once we get our nervous system super duper regulated and everything else optimized, I think that we can eventually add those things back in. That's my belief. Unless you have celiac or something really, really extreme, tell me to fuck off and don't listen to me. But I think that, like, even if you take an allergy test that tells you right now you're sensitive to something, if you do the inner work and you're really healing and you're really loving on your nervous system, there might be a day where you wake up like, a year or two from now, and your body has completely built up its defenses, its immune system, your gut brain barrier is completely shifted. That's also possible. You could dabble in some gluten. I hear it all the time, all the time. So, anyways, the reason I'm telling you this, I'm going somewhere. Okay, stay with me, because this is really just like anybody that's ever, they always say like hot girls have tummy problems. And I'm like, no, we're not supposed to have stomach problems. Also, the other day was trying to convince me, he was tooting up a storm like so much. I'm sorry, that's just too much information. But so I call him Tootie. I'm like, Tootie, you got to get out of here. It's just what something's going on. He was trying to convince me that that's healthy. He's like, it's healthy. It's just moving through the body. It's digesting. I'm like, that is not right. I don't care what anybody says. That is foul behavior that you're doing right now. Like it was like a lot. It was excessive. Like a little bit here and there is normal, but like it was like, y'all know what I'm saying, when it's next level, you're like, that is not healthy or normal. So anyways, that's how I always felt. I was like, anytime I'm having tummy issues, something to me, it's just a signal for me to like pay attention, or something's going on. And sometimes it would be like different things. Like I could tell like I wasn't mindful of my meals, or I was eating too quickly, or, there were certain things. And every level I have learned more and leveled up and whatever. Let me just tell you, I've had the biggest breakthrough in the last month, probably over the last 5 years of doing healing work. And I want to shout it from the rooftops. And I want you to listen, because this is important, because I feel like this is exactly what I mean. The last week, especially, I realized, I was like, this is the first time that I have not had a single digestive issue going on. Like, I have not had a nothing, like no gaseous, no bloaty, no upset stomach, no nothing, like nothing. And usually, like I would say, there'd be like little flare, a little here, or sometimes at night before bed, I have a stomach ache, or like whatever. It was always like so mild, to the point where it wasn't like anything. People would be like, that's not really an issue. If I went to like a doctor or something, they'd be like, that's like normal or whatever. And I'm like, no, but to me, I want to have perfect digestion. I know it's not going to be perfect, but I'm like, I just know that it could feel better. And there's something for me to tune into, on top of, years and years of meat, drug use, Adderall, eating disorder stuff. Like, I'm like, there's just stuff to heal and clear, I'm sure, something. So when I first got the autoimmune diagnosis, a lot of it stemmed from the gut issues, which I was already mildly aware of, because if y'all have heard me on Shannon's podcast or anywhere, I'm always doing something like taking a stool test or doing some type of test. It's always telling me something. But over the years, after I've done all those tests, I started learning, like, first one of the tests told me I had candida, which a lot of people are like, oh, it's so hard to get rid of. It's like, whatever. Honestly, I really at the time, it wasn't that I was like, I'm not going to do anything about it, but I was like so overwhelmed with the amount of guidance that I was getting in the health space. This was like well over a year ago. I just couldn't even like take on a candida cleanse, because I was like, I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know. And honestly, I just kind of like backed off. of everything. And then I went back 6 months later and got tested and it was completely gone. And I really like didn't do anything. So that was weird, but it morphed into other things. And then the doctors were like, oh, you have leaky gut, you have this, you have that. And I was like, this is just so, I'm over it. I'm over it. I feel like I've done the work. I'm listening to my body. I'm in tune with my body. But at some point, I'm tired of doing all the tests, hearing it's coffee, it's gluten, it's this, it's that. And with the autoimmune stuff, I have cut out coffee and gluten and I'm being a good little girl. But still, like even a few months ago, I was still having digestive problems. And I'm like, I'm fucking over this. What is the deal? So I go into the Akashic Records and it was very interesting because a lot of it was just, you have to realize so much of our behaviors and our patterns are just looped. And until we address those loops, we're just comfortable sitting in it, even though it's uncomfortable, but the uncomfortable feels more comfortable because it's familiar. And I really do believe that I just had I was expecting it. I was expecting when I would eat or certain things or whatever, I was expecting to have digestive issues. And they really weren't existing. Like it's almost like I was creating them just because I was expecting them to happen. And I needed to update my software in my brain to stop expecting them. And I thought that was very interesting because I was like, it is kind of true. I've spent so much time and energy doing all these tests and all these things and like looking at all these things and wanting to correct all these things. And you see how I just get into this perpetual hoop of it, like it taking a different shape or something or needing like a supplement or whatever. And honestly, I don't ever really feel called to taking tons of supplements. That never really resonates with me. I don't feel called to my whole entire life following like a carnivore diet or autoimmune diet or all these things like that. Again, it feels too extreme for me. And every single time I would go into the Akashic Records and be like, is this like in alignment with what I need to do? Like this diet or this, that, or, should I cut this out? My guides were always like, you create so many labels. If you just would change your energy, you don't need to worry about the food. It's all, if we really take it back to the micro, back to our energy body, back to the root, the true root is always our energy because it's our energy that exists inside of our body that makes our body reach for certain things or act a certain way. But our energy body is at the top. Our energy body is where everything manifests into the physical. A thought manifests into physical form. Okay. So if we can go back to our thoughts, I don't know why I'm snapping. I'm kind of snapping at myself. If we can go back to our thoughts and take some of that shit that's on autopilot in our brain and we switch it up, everything else will just change naturally. Our habits will just shift. Everything will shift naturally. So I'm someone that I'm like, I'm tired of fiddle diddling around. I'm like, should I take this supplement? Should I do this? At the end of the day, I was still like worrying about my stomach. I was just like creating a lot of energy, wanting it to get better, but that was the wrong energy. And I was like, oh my gosh, ANNAGRACE, I should know better. But at the same time, I want to have, respect for my body and just be aware and be mindful. And you can be all of those things. But at some point, we just get stuck in that. And I was on TikTok. God, I really love TikTok. I really do. I really limit my time there, but I'm not kidding. Sometimes I've learned the most helpful stuff in the world on TikTok. I was on TikTok and I started learning about the law of assumption by Neville Goddard. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with his work. Brilliant. I haven't read any of his books or consumed any of his OG content. Okay, so Neville Goddard was born in 1905 and he passed away in 1972. He is an English writer, speaker, and mystic. And he had some really way before his time information that I feel like right now is so trendy and so popular. Curious if you guys have ever heard of him. But the law of assumption is essentially, if I were to just break it down as easy as possible, it's basically like assuming something has already happened, it's already yours, and assuming that energy now. So the difference is, I started for the last, y'all, I'm not kidding. I really think it's been like 10 days. It's been like so recent. It was ever since I got back from Costa Rica. I just like, granted, we were doing Power of Eight. We were doing stuff that was shifting my thought processes. Absolutely. Another reason, so important to gather women into spaces. I will scream it from the rooftops from anyone that will listen to me. Because when we all come together, we actually are able to truly shift our identity and our perspective. And my identity just like all of a sudden was like, oh my God, I'm like addicted to this narrative of me worrying about certain things that I actually don't need to worry about, that are actually healed, but I'm just assuming that I have stomach problems. I'm like literally waiting for them to happen. Versus I just woke up one day and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go into a meditation right now. And you can do this on, I was doing walking meditations, going on my walks without my headphones in. You can sit with your eyes closed for 5 minutes. And Neville Goddard, basically what he talks about is like, I want you to sit in the reality. And for me, I literally created a new energy body. I got into a really good manifestation where I was just feeling the feelings that I always like to feel. For me, I like to feel freedom, like financial freedom, that, anything that I need, like is available to me. I have all the time in the world to take care of myself, to pamper myself. Like I am like the just most warrior goddess version of me. And I just like feel what it feels like to be her, your higher self. I just start connecting that energy. And in my mind, I bring up this hologram. That is my energy body. Okay. I want you to think just like you're playing a little video game. You're going to bring up this body of yours. And for me, it's always like very, very like my higher self is very strong warrior energy. Like I am here, I'm here to shake people up. I really am. Like I am here to be a powerhouse. I'm here to be an activator, and that needs to be in a strong body. And so I envision this warrior version of me that's just like fearless, strong, fierce, that's not afraid, right? To stand in front of thousands of people and speak, and to be on this podcast, which is technically standing in front of thousands and thousands of people speaking, but you get it even in person. Like I envision this body, and I started envisioning the body that has, she doesn't have digestive issues. She doesn't have any of these issues. She is like prime time, like no shoulder injury, no bullshit. Like I literally just imagine this energy body. Like I was seeing the muscles in my shoulder like heal. I was seeing all the cells come together. I was literally imagining what it would be like to eat, to go on about my day, to feel good, to feel nourished from a meal. I don't even have these thoughts. Like I was literally like eliminating the thoughts of worrying, like, oh no, is this going to upset my stomach, or is this going to cause an autoimmune flare up, blah, blah, blah. Like I was like literally like eradicating those thoughts. I was like, don't even have those thoughts. You sit down. You just know that what you've created in that moment is perfect for you, and then you go on about your day. And I like literally created this version of me that is living in my dream body. And my dream body for me is like this healthy warrior body. Now, for you, you might want to envision, you can envision whatever physical changes to your body that you want. Like literally, you can be like, I want to have really big arm muscles. Like I want to have bigger boobs. Like I don't care. Whatever physical change that you want in your body, you can manifest it. I will scream that from the rooftops. I have physically manifested changes in my face and my nose. I have not had plastic surgery on my nose or my face, but I have physically manifested them. Like how my eyes look. I mean, I literally the other day, like I am manifesting my lashes getting longer because I don't want to use my lash serum like every single day up until the wedding. I'm just starting to visualize it when I put on my makeup. I'm like, oh my gosh, my lashes are just so long. Like I literally am just like fucking around in the law of assumption. And the law of assumption is literally you create this reality, and then the assumption part is that you're like, I am her now. That's closing the gap between this is what I want. This is what I'm striving as. I'm going to whatever. It is like, no, no, no. After I leave this meditation, I stand up and I assume that is my reality. The assumption is that I am her now. I walk around, I hold myself, I eat every single meal as that version of her now because I know it is already done. And that is the law of assumption. It is already done. You hold the thought. I literally have a little clip in my head. I play this video and I loop it. I loop it in my head. I play the clip. I am her. It's done. There's no like wondering, wishy washy, whatever. I'm like, it's done. I have, I mean, I have made, I would say this is probably the most breakthrough practice for me on the law of assumption. And you guys, like I said, there's tons of videos on TikTok. You can look it up anywhere. You can read books about it. But at the end of the day, literally the law of assumption is like, assume it is already done. It is already yours. You are it now. As soon as you visualize it, that thought becomes physical matter. And yes, there's a little bit of a delay because we live in a physical 3D reality. But when you visualize it, you're updating your software, which is your brain, which is your thought processes, which is your mental loops. And I am her. Like I literally am like, I am her now. Like I'm living in that body. That body is completely healed. I do not have autoimmune. That doesn't even live in that body. It's gone. It's gone. Bye. Gut issues. They don't exist in that body. And I literally like, I visualize it. I cue it up in my mind. I play the little video. I step into her and I assume it's done. And then the thing is like the biggest part for me was like, it eradicated the worry of like, is this the right thing that I need right now with my autoimmune? Like, no, no, no. I don't even like think or worry. Or because like at the end of the day, like that's just creating more stress on the body. Like I'm literally like, it's done. I act like I'm her. I don't question it. And it's eradicated the questioning of everything. And that's a very normal thing to go through. Like, I don't want anybody to be hard on themselves or frustrated, because anytime you get any type of health diagnosis, of course we want to be worried, we're concerned. But what you're going to do is you're going to do this. You're going to cue up a body where that disease, that illness does not live in that body. And you're going to step into that body every single morning. And then the rest of your day until you go to bed, you are in that body. You are living in that reality where nothing exists that is not in alignment with your higher self. And so it is. And I am telling you what, literally the last, especially like the last 3 days, it really hit me where I was like, I have not had one digestive issue. Not one. Not one in all of the time and energy and money and tests like over the last several years. Like I would say like there's just always I was always going in and out of something. I truly believe that every single thing that we need to do in order to heal our body is to start with our energy body. Start at the top. Start acting as if we are completely like living in a body that is 100% a healthy being. And like I said, it really just like eliminated all the question and worry. And that was the biggest part for me, that I didn't realize that was the mental sort of loop that was out of date. It was just like quick for me to go, oh, do I need to have this? Is this going to like upset me? You guys know this. I teach it all the time, but I still need the reminder, the chatter in our head. The chatter is not our true authentic self. The chatter is like coming from worry or something else. And it's okay. We're humans. It's going to exist. But I have not had one single digestive issue in the last week. It has been like shockingly jarring. I am like, oh my gosh, I am living a new timeline. Like my reality has actually shifted. And this is all due to the law of assumption. Yeah. So essentially, back to the best definition of the law of assumption is basically it's by believing the thing that you want already exists in your life, you'll manifest it into existence. And I feel like it really takes us out of the rat race of chasing the manifestation or thinking we need to do something in order to manifest a thing. It's like you literally just wake up and you assume it's yours. And you're like, I'm her. It's done. I am living in this body. I am healed. Because that has been my biggest thing. It is huge, especially in this, whatever autoimmune flare up. The reason I'm not even trying to be secretive about it, I don't want to come on here and share all of my labels and things doctors have told me and all these things. Like I'm going to do one full story time, probably one time, one full swoop, because like I don't ever claim, I do not want to take ownership of any dis-ease living in my body. It's not allowed here. I don't allow it. That's not, you will never hear me say, I have blank. And anybody that's going through anything, like, stop it right now. I don't want you to ever say those things ever again. And I know you're like, but that's what the doctor told me. And here's the thing, I know. And you could say like, I'm experiencing an autoimmune response. I say that. That's what I'm experiencing right now. And I'm not denying your experience. But the more that we say, I have cancer, I have this, I have that, we just like allow it to get deeper and deeper rooted into our reality, into our subconscious mind. So just be mindful. Words are so powerful. They are so powerful. We are casting spells all the time. And most of the time we don't even know it. So when we're speaking about our body, like I am healing from this, or I'm healed from this already. It's not that you have to be like emotionally bypassing or delusional, because things happen. It's our human experience. We're going to experience things that are uncomfortable. We don't have to act like they're not happening, but we cannot allow it to become a part of our identity. That's the huge thing I want you to listen. Do not allow it to become part of your identity, whatever it is. I always say this, like people that say like, I have anxiety, I have insomnia. Shut up. Stop it. Don't say that. You're experiencing those things. I'm sorry to go say shut up. That was rude. But I'm like, anybody, you are experiencing those things. And the more that you say, I have, I am, I am, I have, I am, I have, you are just cursing yourself, literally, and bringing on more of that into your life. Your brain's going to go, oh, we have this. I am this. I am anxious. Okay. That's me. That's my identity. So the first thing that you want to do is clean up the word magic, because it's real and it's powerful, and your brain and your body and your reality. Think about it. You have free will. You are in control. You are driving this bus. You have free will. God gives you free will to do with your energy with what you please. And then you're going to turn around and use that free will by taking ownership or claiming diseases and trauma and stories and perpetuating the narrative deeper and deeper into your subconscious, at some point we have to say enough is enough. And I'm not going to continue to allow this to be my identity or for this sickness to define me or to become my reality, whatever the thing is, alcoholism, ADD, ADHD. Like I do not claim ownership of anything. Nothing has ownership in my body without my permission. I will not allow it here. And so I just felt like, yeah, I really wanted to be clear. I'm like, anytime I talk about health stuff, I want to give you guys examples because I think it's important to use my life. I mean, I'm here to teach. Everything that happens in my life is meant for me to teach it. And I'm not trying to be secretive, but I am always very particular with how I speak about my health because I just want that to be this is a temporary experience and I'm experiencing. It's not an identity and it's not who I am. And I kind of caught myself slipping a little, like worrying. I'm like, oh, I always have stomach issues, like blah, 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 blah. And literally one day I looked in the mirror and I was like, shut the fuck up. What brain? Why are you? Nope. We don't do that. We don't claim that. And practicing the law of assumption, like I would say seriously, like the last 2 weeks intensely, maybe 10 days. I don't know. It's been very recent. I can't give you an exact timeline, but it has noticeably changed everything. Like I am like, wow, all of the worry on diets and supplements, and it was never about the diet and it was never about the supplement. It was always about the anticipation that the symptom would show. How about that? So what if we all wake up and whatever symptom or whatever thing you're worrying about, what if you wake up and you create a reality where that symptom is not there? And I guarantee you, if you start to play in that energetic field and that quantum field, you can close your eyes and visualize it for a minute, 90 seconds. It doesn't have to be like some crazy commitment. Your reality will start to bend to that. It is what our brain, it is the laws of the universe. This isn't just coming from me. It's just how it works. When you start to create this hologram version of yourself and you step into that body where these issues don't exist, things in your life are going to physically alter. It's not like, oh yeah, like, you're just going to like continue living the same life. Like things that are not meant for you will fall away because it's going to reflect back the life and the body that you are living in where these problems do not exist. You are quite literally changing and stepping into a timeline where your physical 3D reality will match that energy. So whatever is going on in your physical 3D reality that needs to exit, that's causing anxiety or depression or whatever, will exit. That's how it works. It's like you have to be the commander in chief of your body and your energy. And we can't look outside of us all of the time for labels or medicine or energy or all these things. Like, yes, all of those things at some point could be necessary and could support you. Like, I'm not like, quit taking your medicine right now. No, no, no. But when we think in our mind, oh, I'm going to have to take this for the rest of my life, it's the only way. Like, and so it is. That's the reality that you're living in. But if you wake up one day and you're like, this doesn't feel good to me, this doesn't feel right, I don't want to be doing this, then there is a reality, there is a version of you that's signaling to you. There's a future version of yourself, a higher version of yourself that's signaling to you, hey, wake up. There is another way for us to be living and it's not this. And you have free will. You have free will against every single force on this planet. You have free will that's been given to you from God. It is our greatest gift that you get to dictate your energy, and you can start at the top because you are the CEO of your energy body, and you're going to start to visualize. And the law of assumption is that you believe it is already yours, and it is. And then you just watch the world around you start to change. You watch things start to fall away. You watch for me, it sounds silly. My digestion got immensely better, but it was like, I needed to play in that space of, yes, it being something so simple, but also so powerful. I mean, you name it. I've seen every energy healer, doctor, supplement, everything in the whole entire world. And I literally was like, all I needed to do was visualize that it was already done and eradicate all the thought, stress, and worry and concern around it and the addiction to expecting a symptom. And bada bing, bada boom, here we are. Like, and I'm not saying that some of the precautions that I have taken weren't helpful, but I really do feel like when we do take things, like for an example for me is I've been taking Armra colostrum, and they sponsor my Instagram. They don't sponsor my podcast, so I can say whatever I want over here. I'm wild and I'm free. but I started taking colostrum, and that was something that I intuitively felt really called to. It was such a divine placement. I really do feel like at this point, all of the sponsorships that I get on my Instagram are genuinely products that I need in my life. It's so weird. Like when I cut out caffeine, I got a partnership with Mudwater, which is like a non-coffee beverage, a morning beverage. Whenever something's going on with me, like I literally feel like I manifest partnerships that I actually need. Anyways, Armor Colostrum is a really good one. Legally, they're not supposed to say that it anything in the same sentence with leaky gut. Um, I'm not being paid right now, so I can say whatever I want. I recently, I would say within the last like 3 to 4 months, was when I found out I had some leaky gut issues. And Armo was like the number one thing that everyone said. And on top of like every functional medicine doctor I was seeing, tons, like everyone gave me like a million supplements, all the things. And I just like intuitively was like, no, I don't want to take 12 supplements a day. Like I just don't, that to me just like, I don't know, wasn't resonating. And here's the thing, it could resonate for you. That's why I'm saying like, don't listen to me on all fronts, because there are times where we need things. Our body is a biological universe existing, and it needs certain vitamins and minerals. I'm not saying, but for me in those moments, it was not resonating with me. Like some of the advice that I was getting, and I'm sure it's worked for other clients, but colostrum was one that I was like, this is actually really landing for me. But I needed to take it with the intention that I was like, I want to take it in alignment with this thought process. And I mean, it sounds kind of gross at first. I was like, I don't know about colostrum. And like I said, I'm not being paid over here. I can put my link in the show notes if you guys are interested in checking it out. But like I said, I just am genuinely sharing this because at first I was like, this sounds kind of weird and gross, because colostrum is like, what comes out of mammals in the first 24 to 48 hours they are like before they're breastfeeding. But it kind of is like stem cells for your body. And so anyways, I felt very called to that. And that was it. I scratched all the substance. I stopped worrying about, I was on the liver detox, I was doing like a really strict diet, and I was like, I got to relax on the diet. It's not the diet. When I take this supplement, I'm going to take it with the intention and like literally visualizing it healing my gut, and like visualizing everything calming and simmering. And like that mindset in alignment, that's what I'm saying. Like food and supplements sometimes are necessary. So I'm not saying kick all of them, but we need to get our mind in the right place for us to be in alignment. Like our mind, body, spirit, they all got to match up, because you can take supplements all day long, but if you're like so stressed out and you already don't think they're going to work, they're not going to work. Like our belief system really is powerful. But here's the thing, you're in control, and you have the power to overthrow, to change the energy, to rewire your belief system, to start to visualize a new reality. So I really feel like when I was taking colostrum and I was like truly embodying this version that's like healed, and this is going to make me feel so amazing, and it's like already done, like literally just living in the energy of it's already done. Like I'm not even stressed about it. I'm like, this is just what I do to maintain this optimal health. Taking things with that mentality has been, and that was really all I did. I just took colostrum with the intention that it was already done. I was already healed. My gut, I was just imagining it perfectly, in alignment. And then I just started every single morning. I was stepping into a body that just lives autoimmune free, and just a body that has warrior energy. Slay, baby. And that was it. And my reality has completely shifted, and it's been, I would say a little, I think it's closer to 10 days, a little under 2 weeks. And I am like, wow, could have done that a lot sooner. But you know what? That's why I'm on this journey, and that's why I have this microphone, is because like I go through all the shit. I mean, I know we all have shit, but I am here to experience a lot of things. And then as soon as I can maybe fast track it for you guys, I share it on the microphone, and then I hope it makes your life easier, because that's really what I'm here to do, is just make your life a little bit easier. And that has been my saga. So gut issues are annoying, and they're very common. If you think about it, our gut is what's connected to our intuition. Leaky gut is very connected with boundaries. If we have leaky boundaries, there's just a lot going on in the space from our heart chakra down to our root chakra. There's a lot. There's like a whole universe that exists inside, literally a second brain. So it's very normal at some point in your life if you have a digestive issue. And I'm not saying that you need to just visualize it immediately away. Like, yes, take note. But at some point, like for me, I already knew that I had already taken note, awareness. I had tried all the things, done all the things. And at some point I'm like, okay, I think I'm just like obsessing over like wanting it to be better versus just allowing it to be better. Our body's constant The constant in your body is that your body is always healing. If you cut your finger, you are never worried, oh shit, this may never close. I might bleed out. No, your skin is already closing and healing. It's like working. You wake up in the morning and it's like closed and sealed, and 2 weeks later it's a scar. You don't even think twice about it. Your body's constantly healing. Our brain and other random energetic blocks are the only things that really get in the way sometimes, just from a true natural healing process. So take whatever parts of this podcast resonate, leave what doesn't. Like I said, I want you to do what's best for you, whether it's following a diet or a supplement or all of these things. But I just want to show you how powerful it can be when you implement some of these practices, like the law of assumption. Do it together, do it in tandem. Like I said, I still felt really called to taking colostrum. My intuition was showing me yes. Like muscle testing, I do all these things. I check in with my body, and they're like, bitch, you don't need 75. First of all, you don't need $2,000 worth of supplements. Like, that's crazy. Like, you don't need all that. Add in some colostrum, visualize it's done, and it's done. And then I literally was like, holy fuck, I feel incredible. And yes, I was actively visualizing all my walks, like over and over. I would loop the movie clip in my head. I would just loop it in my head and feel what it felt like to feel amazing and done. And then I'm going about my day and I wouldn't really worry about it because I'm like, it's already done. It's done. But just having a set point in the morning where you step into that version of yourself, that warrior version, whatever it is for you, it can be different than what it looks like for me. But you step into that version and you're like, okay, and what's done is done. And I'm not going to worry about this for the rest of the day. And it's that simple. It really is that simple. We as humans, we love to overcomplicate things. I love to overcomplicate things. I have access to, like I said, so many healers and doctors and energy people. Like, I have so much information. Sometimes it's like actually like maybe too much information. Maybe I'm trying to do too many things. And when I strip it back to the bare minimum and listen to my intuition and just go within, I'm like, oh, I am the ultimate healer. Yep. I have the power. I can change anything in my reality. It is malleable. Our brains are incredible. So, yes, a rant around gut health. But, like I said, everybody always says hot girls have gut issues. And I don't want us to have gut issues because I want our gut to be clear so we can make really good gut decisions, AKA listen to your gut. And our gut's healthy and we have a healthy gut to listen to, because sometimes it is really hard when we have a lot of stuff going on inside of our body. And yeah, we want that to be clear. I'm here to always keep us connected to our intuition. Even if it sounds like something silly like digestive issues, I still want you to know like what feels good. We want eating to be enjoyable. I want you to be able to have all the things in your life. I don't want you to live a life of worry and stress about every single thing that you put in your body, because I've been there. And I promise it's not worth the worry and the stress. Sometimes those decisions that we like really fixate on, whether it's alcohol or caffeine or whatever, like we like worry, hyperfixate to a point where like it's actually counterproductive because we're just worrying. So I want you to like listen to me today. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Hold at the top. Big exhale. Allow the shoulders to drop. Wiggle the fingers, loosen the hands, all the devices that we've been holding, shake them out. Give ourselves a little roll, relax our belly. We're always holding our stomach so tight and all these things. Relax, let it go. And just remember that you have an internal guidance system that's always available inside of you. And no decision is ever going to throw you completely off. Okay. There's no major mess ups. Every single thing in our life is taking us to exactly where we need to go. You're in the right place. You're doing the right things. So just really a reminder to take the pressure off and to know that you have the ability to create a new reality inside your mind, and it's free and you can do it, and you are powerful. And I love you so much. And I believe in your ability to heal, and whatever is going on in your life, whether it's heartbreak or physical ailments or relationships. I really do feel that anybody can relate to this episode, and just know that there is a reality where those issues do not burden you. And it doesn't mean that certain people just disappear or, we can't kill them off in our mind, but there is a version of you that's so rooted in yourself and is so at peace with yourself and is so regulated. These things don't throw us into orbit like they used to. Okay. That reality is so real and it's available to you, and it's just a visualization practice away. I love you guys. Thanks for coming to class. Share this with a friend who maybe is in need. And I'll see you next week. Love you, Dancing Yous. Mwah. As always, I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in. If you feel so called or if it feels aligned, I would love for you to leave me a review here. I always love reading your beautiful thoughts and messages. And also you can find me at ANNAGRACE Newell on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And I will link all of my courses, AG University course curriculum in the show notes, along with if you're interested in booking an Akashic Records reading with me. My scheduling link goes out in my newsletter. It goes out once a month and it's completely free. I would love to have you there. As always, I'm a proud professor and you get an A+ for making it all the way through the end. Love you.